According to the National Criminal Justice Reference Service in 2005, an estimated 600,000 to 800,000 men, women, and children are trafficked each year. An estimated 14,500 to 17,500 foreigners are trafficked each year into the U.S. The number trafficked within the U.S. is estimated to be about 200,000 Americans at risk to being unwillingly thrust into the commercial sex trade. After extensive research, I feel comfortable enough to inform you all about the rising problem in our nation and even in our state. My name is Madison Feltz, and we are going to learn about human trafficking. So what is human trafficking? Well, the basic definition that comes to my mind, and probably yours before you hear this, is just kidnapping primarily women to be sold as sex slaves under the radar. However, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, or the DHS, defines it as involving the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of label or commercial sex act. According to the DHS article in their Blue campaign, Myths and Misconceptions, these are some of the myths about human trafficking. Myth: human trafficking does not occur in the U.S. Fact: human trafficking is nationwide. Myth: victims are often foreign-born and poor. Fact: victims can range from any age, race, gender, nationality, and any socioeconomic group. Myth: this is only sex trafficking. Fact: it also includes forced labor like sweatshops, domestic services, massage parlors, restaurants, agriculture, and hotels. Myth: they must be forced or coerced into commercial sex acts to be considered victims. Fact: under U.S. federal law, any minor under age 18 who is induced to perform commercial sex acts is a victim, whether or not she or he is coerced. Myth: lastly, victims will attempt to seek help when in public. Fact: this is a hidden crime. Victims may be afraid to come forward and get help. They may be forced or coerced through violence. They may fear retribution from the traffickers, including danger to their families. And they may not have possession of or control of their identification documents. So how many people are trafficked within Nebraska? Due to the last fact that we talked about, it is extremely difficult to tell how many people are trafficked each year exactly. So what we can do is look at the survivors who have come forward. According to the 2015 article, Human Trafficking in Nebraska, the Women's Fund of Greater Omaha, with assistance from numerous members of the Nebraska Attorney General's Human Trafficking Work Group, conducted an environmental survey in August 2015. Over one-third of the respondents reported encountering one or more trafficked people in the last year. 47% were adults, 32% were minors, 44% were U.S. residents, and 36% were Nebraska natives. Nonprofit providers have identified individuals under 17 who have been trafficked at least 176 times in the last year. So where do traffickers discover their victims? According to law enforcement records, about 25 to 33% of all human trafficking cases are discovered on the internet. In Creighton University's The Human Trafficking Initiative in 2016, they state the Backpage.com, modeled after websites such as Craigslist, is the market hub accounting for 80% of online commercial sex advertisement. Backpage self-reports about 400 ads selling minors on the websites, and more than 150 cases of minors advertised on the website have been prosecuted in 31 states. And while the proportion of minors trafficked in labor is unknown, classification of Backpage ads across Nebraska indicate that approximately 8% of ads any day could be selling minors and adults as well. According to the HTI of 2012, Nebraska has 5 cities with the Backpage escorts: Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, North Platte, and Scottsbluff. 92 phone numbers on Backpage nationally have Nebraska area codes. An average of 45 women advertised in Nebraska in early center, and 81% of those advertised in more than one city. So what is the connection and the convenience between these? I-80 is an east-west transcontinental freeway in the U.S. that runs from San Francisco, California to Teaneck, New Jersey. According to Nebraska.gov, History Nebraska's article, I-80 150 Years Old, I-80 was built in 1996 as one of the original interstates and followed almost the exact same path as the Mormon Trail of 1846. This stretches through the U.S., making it the quickest way to get the painfully quick exchange of victims due to the expansion. Next is Highway 30. Highway 30 is an east-west main route in the system of Nebraska numbered highways, with it traveling through the northern tier of the country. It's lesser known than I-80, but over half of it is beside it in Nebraska. It's not as monitored, and due to the expansion of less popularity, there's less bystanders. This also makes it known as the Hidden Highway. In a report from the Nebraska Human Trafficking Task Force in 2020, 57 trafficking prosecutions were reported in 2020. That number is up from 2019 when the state saw 33. There are 23 proactive operations to date, 192 total human trafficking investigations in Nebraska, and this is a statement from the task force. This year, 2020, has produced significant advancement in the fight against human trafficking in Nebraska. Across the state, members of the Nebraska Human Trafficking Task Force met through virtual meetings as an expanded task force, witnessing a rise in trafficking cases and marked increases in prosecution of human trafficking. Every year, men, women, and children are unwillingly trafficked across towns, states, and borders. There are many people aware of this problem and are fighting to combat it. However, it is not called the hidden crime for nothing. Too many people don't know. Today, I hope I was able to shed a little light and awareness on this problem. And this way I am doing my part to make sure it's noticed and not ignored. Thank you for listening.